Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review tonight. We are reviewing Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 2, Episode 18, Checked Out. Honey, listen to me, okay? I've been chugging along with Love and Marriage Huntsville since Season 1. And this episode right here, okay, yes, I said, I ain't say here. I said this episode right here. Baby, I got a lot to say, honey. Let's get into it if we're going to get into it. All right, so when the episode first opens up, we see Tisha downstairs playing Susie Homemaker, honey, making the bacon and the eggs and the grits and all the Southern things that us Southern people love to eat for breakfast. Marsau comes down and he's like, well, how you doing? She's like, I'm good. Yeah, I'm just doing pretty good. Yeah, everything's good. Marsau was like, all right. I have been with Tisha long enough to know that if she keeps repeating, I'm good, that she really ain't good. So then Tisha was like, well, we did the day retreat or whatever, and everything was going good. We had a good time at the Brown Girl event. So I thought this was going to be good, like a spa and a relaxation type of thing, and drinking champagne and eating a nice dinner, but that wasn't what it was. She was like, well, at first everything was going good. And then she said, me and Mel had a conversation, and then Mel said she thought that us and where our relationship deteriorated was about her not having enough time to spend to talk to me because she was building her brand. Marsau was like, okay, it's nothing wrong with that. So then Tisha said, well, I call bullshit. I think Mel is a liar. And then Marsau was looking at her. She was like, so I think I ruined everything. Well, I'm glad you came to terms with the fact that you ruined everything. But at the same time, I feel like it was good that you released, honey, because that's the only way we're going to get some kind of movement. So you let it out. All right, we're there. So she was like, I think Mel's a liar. She was like, I can't move forward until she is honest. So Marsau said, do you want to move forward with her? And she said, I thought I did, but he was like, how? Like, how do you think you want to? And she was like, I don't want to be friends. I just want to be, not argue. So Marsau said, in what world would anybody respond positively to someone saying, I think that's BS? And he said, you want to not argue, but you're starting arguments. Honey, you're a riddle wrapped in an enigma. What are you talking about, Tisha? You don't want to argue with her, yet you're arguing with her. Child, okay. So then Tisha was like, well, it's hard when Mel doesn't take accountability. And so then he said, I'm sorry, but you're talking about Tisha. You're talking about yourself. She was like, no, I'm not. Oh, my goodness, child. And then he said, she was like, what have I not taken ownership of? He said, this right here, right now. You're not taking any kind of ownership. And then he was like, in her world, she believes those lies. She believes exactly what she said. And he said, these people are drowning right now, right in front of us. And we're on a boat. We're safe and secure. I have a wife. I have kids who love me. I have a successful business. And he said he once saw them as friends, but now he sees them as humans. And his heart goes out to them for that situation, And he was like, just give her a hug. It is what it is. So Tisha, we had a breakthrough moment, honey. We channeled Ayanla. In this episode, I'm so happy you guys share a network. Tisha said, Marsau is right. I can't allow someone to control my happiness. And then she said, I just need to let it go. And then she asked Marsau if she owed Mel an apology. And he said, you owe her a listening ear. I'm like, okay, Marsau, come on through with the good advice, child. But I got an attitude with you. Okay. I'm here for you giving your wife the good advice at this part of the review. But as I chug along through the rest of the review, I ain't seeing it for you, child. Boy, gone. So Kimmy goes over to Mel's house. And Mel is back in that god-awful wig. Child, you should have thrown that wig in that campfire. Child, you should have brought that wig with you and threw it in that campfire. I hate that wig. I don't know. Oh, my goodness. Okay, child. Just a side note. Y'all know I hate bad hair. So Kimmy says she wants to check on Mel because last time she saw her, things didn't end well. Kimmy, you didn't think to check on Tisha as well? I'm just saying, we need to make it equal. Honey, if we're going to check on somebody, let's check on everybody. Honey, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who's on whose team. All I'm saying is, child, oh my God. Okay, let's just keep moving forward. So she was like, I just want to check on her because last time things didn't end well. And Mel is going through a lot. So she wanted to make sure she was okay. So Mel was like, I appreciate her stopping by because Tisha was a lot. But she understands it's a lot of tension between Miss Wanda, Tisha, Kimmy. So she understands why Kimmy just wanted to stay out of it and not be bothered. So then Mel says she started talking to Kimmy. She was like, I enjoyed the day trip. It started out okay. I was being vulnerable and speaking my truth. And when I was speaking, Tisha's response was negative from the rip. And Tisha was acting like the conversation that we had never happened and you were privy to that conversation. So, Kimmy, she just sitting there looking. And she was like, and I wish you would have spoken up. Okay, so for everybody listening, okay, I've seen everything that's happening on the Twitterverse and how people were going in on Tisha because she wanted Kimmy to have her back. That is exactly what Mel is doing in this moment. Wanting Kimmy to speak up on her behalf because she felt like her truth was the only truth. When in reality, you did say those things about Marsau and Tisha's marriage. You did. You and Martel, when y'all were thick as thieves and it was Hope versus the world, Team Hope, y'all were saying all kinds of things. The 20 women posting things on social media. It was like a war against the couples. It was war of the world. So don't try to act like that didn't happen as well. Both things happened. So you can't be asking Kimmy for help if Tisha can't ask Kimmy for help. So when Tisha asks for her to have her back, it's an issue. But when Mel wants her to speak up, it's cool. So then, Kimmy, I'm side-eyeing you because you said, well, it stems from y'all not wanting me in the middle. Y'all need to make up your mind where this rule applies. Okay, well, you told Tisha straight up that you weren't going to choose a side. You were going to let them work it out. But you're sitting in Mel's face telling her it's because you didn't want to get in the middle because they said don't get in the middle. I don't remember Tisha saying that, honey. She wants you as far in the middle as possible. Honey, please be in the middle. That's all Tisha wants. Honey, I don't know where you been. So then, she's like, Mel said, well, I just want you to tell him the truth when you can. Kimmy said, I do. But Mel, real talk, y'all both have your own truth. And she elected to stay out of it because Ayama was handling. Honey, Ayama wasn't handling nothing, child. She was barely handling herself. Child, it was going crazy. People were hollering and yelling everywhere, child. Nobody was taking control of anything, honey. You could have spoke up. It would have been fine. So she was like, I was privy to that conversation. And Mel was like, yes, and I was told I was a liar. And so she was like, well, you said things as if they're 100% truth, and so has Tisha. So both of y'all feel like what you're saying is 100% truth. And Mel said, well, I'm dealing with a lot with Martel and my divorce. I just want positivity. Mel, I hear you with the whole positivity speak, but listen, I'm objective on this channel. And some of you may not agree, and that's okay. But the thing is, you're screaming positivity, but you're doing the same things that Martel is doing, but in a different way. You're sitting with each person that you meet to tell about his new baby that's on the way. You're sitting with these girls and, you tell Tisha last episode, well, I know something about your marriage. That's not positive. That's as negative as it gets. And you're planting seeds in this girl's mind about her marriage. Girl gone, honey. You in that wig. Get out of my life, child. I ain't got time for that. And so then she says, he got a baby on the way. Kimmy said, is that true? I had literally convinced myself it wasn't because, and Mel was like, what? Because he a good guy? Honey, a good guy don't have a baby on his wife. And I'm with you on that, wig. A good guy does not have a baby on his wife. Just like his mama tried to say, but you're a good guy no matter what. That does not a good guy make. I don't care how you try to spin it. It's nothing good about you having a family of 6 and you have 4 kids at home and you go out and decide to make a whole nother baby. That's a whole nother level of cheating, honey. Now, you can go lay down with somebody, come back home, ain't nobody done found out, then you go back and then you finally find out and then you leave. But when you go and have an outside baby and now my kids have a sibling, child, that's a whole nother level, child. And ain't nobody gonna convince me otherwise, honey. That's a mess. So then, Kimmy said, well, I'm not changing that because I stand by what I say. What? Child, okay. Honey, Kimmy, you a mess. So she was like, well, you seem pulled together. I saw on Instagram some candles lit and some dinners and some champagne. I mean, are you dating Mel? Hell no, that Mel ain't dating nobody, child. Mel is putting those pictures on there to get everybody know the game you play on social media, honey. You act like you're just living your best life when you just broke up with somebody. Ain't doing nothing, honey. She put them 2 plates out. Those were both her plates, okay? Drinking her own champagne. She done drunk that whole bottle of champagne, but she wanted Martel to see it. That's just how women do. Honey, that's how we do, okay? Especially when we want you to feel what we felt. She just wanted to get a rise out of Martel. And that's what I think, because her answer kind of coincides with what I'm saying. Mel was like, well, I'm not saying I'm not entertaining anyone or open to the fact of having friends, but I have 4 kids and, I got to focus on me. She said Martel told her that he can't wait for her to find somebody so she can lose him real quick. Baby, this episode has triggered me. I am triggered. How dare you try to make her feel like you're the best thing she'll ever have? Like, are you serious? Trying to plant little seeds of self-doubt in her mind. So when she goes out, she's comparing everything that they have to whatever you had. Like, men will try to do that junk in a minute. Boy, shut up, you old peanut head bozo. Oh, I be really trying to use some PG-13 words when I'm talking about these people, but my God. And so Mel was like, you know what? I actually pity Martel. I don't, honey. She was like, he think he can walk all over me. Kimmy said, well, probably because you let him. Baby, pow, Kimmy, straight shooter, honey, no chaser. I mean, you have let him, quite frankly, quiet as it's kept. But she was like, no, and in that, I have also said some words to him too. And Kimmy was like, well, you probably should have told him you're going to beat his ass in the middle of that. And she was like, well, I said that too. And he said I was being disrespectful. I'm like, oh my goodness, child. Oh, let me tell y'all something. This episode reminded me so much of my soon-to-be ex-husband. Honey, oh my goodness, I barely got through it. Martel goes to meet with Maurice to discuss the divorce because Maurice has been there. Maurice, what is this turtleneck, honey? I know it's cold, but okay. So he tells them, so he goes in, he talks to Maurice, and he tells him it's been tough and it's eating him up every day. Maurice said, Martel, do you really want a divorce? He said, deep down, no. Well, duh. Dummy. You done went and got all this junk and you done made the biggest mess that you can make, and now you sitting up here talking about deep down inside. Boy, gone. So he was like, why? He said, well, when I think about Mel going downstairs to cook breakfast and yelling, breakfast is done. Y'all know how Mel be talking, honey. And then all the kids come down. Well, honey, you should have thought about that, because now you're thinking about her going down there cooking breakfast when this heifer probably is young and gonna run you through that McDonald's drive-through to get your hash brown and your sausage biscuit, and y'all gonna be eating fast food 7 days a week. And now you sitting here thinking about the pitter-patter of little feet. You should have thought about that before you did that. Now you're sitting here and you took that for granted. So I don't feel sorry for you in the slightest. So he was like, it's tough to say that I don't want it when I really do. So then Maurice was like, well, it's tough to know when to let go. So Maurice said, when he sees Martel speak about his family, he lightens up. He just lights up. And it's not just simply because of the kids, but it's because of Mel also and the family unit that they built. They have 4 kids. And he was like, when I was getting a divorce, I didn't have no light. My light was completely blown out, honey, complete darkness. Okay. He was like, that's when I knew it was over. He said, but there's a lot of collateral damage in the wake of a divorce. And he's saying that his son is still paying for his actions. So he just feels like, if you still have fight left in you, then fight for it. Martel said, well, deep down, I want my life and things to go back to normal. And I mean, it just doesn't feel real. No, because you thought you were going to keep on cheating and she was just going to keep on staying. That's why it doesn't feel real. Because you thought that you were going to be with this girl through your the entirety of your whole marriage, for the duration of your marriage. You thought you were going to still be with this heifer on the side. That's why it doesn't feel real. Don't sit here acting like you want some sympathy from somebody out here, honey, because I feel nothing for you. The fact that you sat up and had a whole outside woman, a whole separate life for 5+ years, and you talking about it don't feel real. Yeah, because Mel finally woke the hell up. That's why it don't feel real. Ciao. Goodbye. So then we see Tisha and Marsau. They're over at Black meeting with the chef for a tasting. So the chef bringing out these little, these little foods for them to try. And so then the chef comes out and he was like, well, how was it? Marsau said, I'm going to have to be honest with you because that's what I need to do. So Marsau told him that the presentation is subpar at best. That is me paraphrasing what he said, okay? Because it looked like some slop on a plate. And I eat with my eyes. So if it doesn't look good and the presentation is not there, then I'm not going to want it. I don't care how much it costs. It could be 50 cents. I'm not going to want that bag of chips if it doesn't look right, okay? So Marsau starts to tell him that he wants to make sure that the community is proud to walk through the doors, and he doesn't want them to have to save money to get good service. I'm like, yes, Marsau, honey, because our people will go somewhere once a year on their birthday and spend an obscene amount of money for the experience. And I understand you wanting to be the owner and the business person that gives them that experience. I am here for it, okay? Then Marsau starts telling Tisha that he wants to hire a general manager because they're talking about the hiring process. He said he's thinking about Jalen. Tisha was like, once again, he's making decisions without me. I'm like, girl, oh my goodness, honey. Sometimes, Marsau, I just don't understand you. It's like you be doing good and then you back to being on some bullshit, okay? They're back over at Black now, and it's just Marsau, and they're reworking the plate presentation with the other chef that's going to be doing the brunch. Marsau is talking to Jalen about the GM position. So Jalen, was telling him he's excited and all of that. And so Marsau asked him, what is it that you failed at? I guess this was supposed to be an interview, honey, because Jalen show failed. And Jalen was like, well, I can't think of anything right now. I'm like, oh my gosh. So then he said, why should I choose you? He said, because you're busy. Child, I think I'm with Tisha on this one, honey. We need somebody with some experience. Running a business and running a restaurant, that is no small feat. You have to really know what you are doing behind the scenes. And just standing up talking about because he's busy, I'm filling in. No, this is a serious position and your business can go under. You playing around trying to offer him an opportunity. Let him grow a little bit more before you just throw him in the general manager position. I think Tisha is right about that. Marsau said he's hiring Jalen because he trusts him and he wants to incorporate part ownership. I'm like, Marsau, did you run that past Tisha? Because I don't think she know about you handing off part of the business over to Jalen. Child, this is just, okay, child, let's move forward. Then Jalen says, I got to go. Marsau said, what? Honey, he said he got to go. This is what you wanted. This is what you decided to hire. A little crazy. Now we're over at Melody S. Holt Incorporated. I don't know if she said incorporated or not, but it sounds good. So we're back over here and Mel is like closing that chapter of her life and just putting her name only on the doors because now there's no more Holt and Holt. Mel, that wig was nice, honey. You looked okay there. Okay, I liked it. So then Marsau rolls up and he tells her, oh, Mel, you're glowing. Marsau, let me tell you something. I feel like you flirting with her a little bit right here. Honey, and it gets even worse as this scene progresses. I'm not feeling you at all in this scene, and I'm finna get ready to go all the way off. So if you guys do not like a rant, please exit the video at this point. Okay, here we go. So Mel asked him why he's there. So he was like, I just, he's like, well, how's it going, Mel? And, he's talking to her, and she's like, well, what's it gonna be? He's talking about the windows, and she's like, Melody S. Holt. And Marsau said, oh, Melody S. Holt. I like it. Tina kept her name too. I'm like, not comparing that girl to Tina Turner. But I did catch the fact that she decided she was going to keep Holt. So Mel was like, well, why wouldn't I keep the name? I have 5 children. I have 4 children. I'm like, I know that's right, girl. Honey, well, you really did have 5 because Martel acts like a toddler. So Marsau reveals that he's there because he made the executive decision to move Tisha and Mel forward. Marsau, don't go have no meeting with somebody that your wife is not checking for. Don't do that. Because quite frankly, to me, in my opinion, I don't feel like you were there to get things moving forward. I feel like you were there for Mel and her boobs and that blonde wig. That's what I feel like you were there for. Because as this conversation is progressing, I don't see too much of you being on your wife's side. How would you have felt if she would have gone to Martel and started talking to him and saying, ooh, Martel, close that shirt up. You looking like, loud child, let me not get ahead of myself. Oh, my goodness. So Mel says, I'm about positivity, and Tisha was not being receptive to my vulnerability, straight up. So then Marsau was like, and so then she said, I'm not extending the olive branch to her again. Marsau said, well, you know what? I told her the same thing, that she was being negative. Okay, that's the first part where you got on my nerves. You don't sit here and agree with her. And I don't know if you don't remember what took place when her and Martel were a united front, but you don't go against your wife and go over here with Mel and start telling her, yeah, I said the same thing. That doesn't sound good. And you knew it didn't sound good because in your confessional, you said, I know it seems like I'm going against Tisha, but I'm actually on Tisha's side. Okay, child, whatever, honey, baby. Ooh, child, you'll be on that couch for 3 or 4 months doing some crap like this. So then he said, well, I actually told her the same thing. He was like, your positive energy is about protecting your mental. Okay. So then he tells Mel what he told Tisha about her calling it some BS and all this kind of stuff. So Mel said, your wife wants to stay stuck in the past. She said, Tisha started making all these claims that I tried to destroy your marriage, and I was simply only stating things that were true. Really, Marsau? So the 20 women are true? Because you sure didn't pipe up when she said that. You just stood there. And Mel, let's not forget that Mel also said that Martel didn't start cheating until he got with you and Maurice. So is that true as well? And then Marsau said, I hate these dang on M names. Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. So then Marsau said, I don't feel like anyone can destroy your marriage. You're the only one that can destroy your marriage. And then what is this girl's name? Mel, child. Mel said, yeah, I feel the same. So then Marsau said, yeah, because you're like me. Oh, is she? I cannot believe you. I cannot believe you sat with Mel after she had a disagreement with your wife and made your wife seem like she was completely in the wrong, and Mel has never done or said anything to you all when she was with her husband and they were doing good. That is crazy. And somebody commented down in my comment section a few episodes and reviews back, and they said, I think Marsau got a thing for Mel. And I said, no, that's crazy. Why would he have a thing for Mel and he has a whole wife? But honey, after this scene right here, child, whoever you are, I'm going to look for your comment and I'm going to personally apologize to you for that one, honey. Child, come on now, let's get into it. So then Marsau was like, I think y'all should continue and try to talk again, because I want to invite you to the soft opening, but I want to let you know that Martel will be there as well. So Mel was like, oh, okay. Since y'all stopped bashing me on social media, now Martel want to be over there with y'all. Since he don't have Mel to be with, now he over here with y'all. Okay. And so Marsau was like, Mel, you started the entire thing. We were being attacked. She was like, oh, I attacked y'all? Now, this part right here, honey, baby, let me tell you something. Tisha, I hope you watching this back mad as hell, honey, because I know I would be. Then Marsau, so the lady starts asking, well, Mel, is this right? Is this centered? And so Mel was like, just a little bit more to the left, but it looks great. Y'all doing a great job. So then when she turns around, because Marsau clearly been looking at her boobs since they've been talking. So then Marsau tells her, you need to tighten up your shirt. You're not finna sit here and entice me. So Mel gonna say, if you see these boobs, cause you done seen them all. I know you done seen more than just these. And I'm like, what is happening? So he's like, I'm married, girl. And they both smiling. And she was like, boy, please, if I wanted to entice somebody, I'd go back and get Martel for all that. So they basically standing here. Marsau, have you lost your mind? Not only are you sitting here not defending your wife in the face of her adversary, you're also standing here flirting with this woman. Child, okay. So then she's like, boy, please. So then he gonna say, you're not about to entice me. I'm a married man. So Mel all in the window fixing her wig, smiling. Talking about, boy, please. Liking the attention from what I can see. And so she buttons her button up a little bit, turns around, and then he gonna say, you gonna get the spirit of Kimmy and start touching all over me. I'm like, oh, no, honey. Yeah, baby, you thought that Mike didn't catch that, but they put that closed caption down there so good. Mel, let me tell you this. That was wrong of you to sit there and kiki with that man, knowing that that man is a married man. And Marsau, you were wrong all the way around for even going to have a conversation with Mel, because it was not a platonic conversation. You were flirting when you first got there. You added in a little razzle dazzle like you were trying to handle some business, and you sure was flirting at the end. Like, that is so disgusting. And now I'm starting to side eye you, and I believe you probably do have 20 women. Oh, disgusting, man. So now Mel shows up to Chris and Miss Nell's house to visit. Okay. And she back in that wig again. Child, we cannot escape that wig. So his wife was like, oh, I called you over and, Martel is here. We want to talk about some reconciliation. Honey, not the Parent Trap. Child. Mel was like, no, we can talk about peacefully moving forward separately. And the lady was like, for real? Girl, that smirk you had on your face, child, you know you was happy that somebody trying to get y'all back together, honey. Girl, gone. So Mel walks on to the back. Martel greets her. They hug. They being cordial. And I'm like, okay, they being cordial to each other. So Martel was like, oh, you getting ready to go to a concert, ain't you? She did look foolish in the middle of the day, didn't she? Honey, I was like, what are you wearing, Mel? And you got that wig back on. Girl, gone. So Martel compliments her. And then Chris's wife says, y'all are here because we want to help. And then Chris said, they went through the same thing and that Martel has to own what he did. He was like, it took a lot for me to own what I did. And me and my wife went through, we were separated for almost 2 years, but now we're here 25 years later. So Mel, then they asked, so then Miss Nell, who was the wife, she asked, do y'all want to be married to each other? Mel trying to ask little questions, trying to avoid it because she want Martel to answer first. Girl, just go and say you want to be married to the man. We know it's just a tough guy act, honey. We all been there. So Mel's trying to wait for Martel to answer. Martel says, Mel is laughing when this is serious. Was it serious when you were over there laying down with that girl? It was serious then too. I'm trying to tell somebody how they should behave. Boy, hush. Or you know what? Not even hush. Boy, shut up. Gosh, these men make me sick. So then he says, well, he starts running down his resume and his accolades. I was more hands-on with the kids than Mel was. And, I wanted Mel to take a little bit of the burden off of me as far as the kids were concerned. And then Mel said something. Martel was like, I wouldn't even been doing what I was doing if she was supposed to be doing what she was supposed to be doing. She should have been taking care of me. And so then Miss Nell said, well, are you going to keep going back to the same lady? Because that's disrespectful cheating. Honey, what is respectful? What is a respectful way to cheat? I keep hearing people say disrespectful cheating because he's going back to the same woman. Is there a way to respectfully cheat? As long as you're dumb and in the dark, is that the respectful way? Like, I'm just confused as to what is being said and what are you talking about? Child. So then he was like, yeah, that's the issue Mel had with me. I'm always going back to the same woman. It wasn't multiple women, but I don't get down like that. And I was trying to figure out why she was upset that I was going back to the same woman. If she would have been doing what she was supposed to be doing, then I wouldn't have been stepping out. And all the while, Mel just being quiet, honey. She better than me because I would have been hollering the whole time. They wouldn't even been able to hear nothing he was saying, okay? So then he was like, and she was like, no, you slept with multiple women throughout our marriage. And so Martel is adamantly denying that. So then he was like, I wish people could just see what I see one day, what you're doing. You throw the rock and then hide your hand. And so then he was like, the other woman was doing what I needed them to do and being there for me. And then you get mad because I'm getting what I need from somebody else. Martel, all I hear is you wanted her to do something sexually that she didn't want to do. All I hear is she has 4 kids and she tired, so she don't want to lay down and spread eagle every night. That's all I'm hearing. And you talking about, I told you what I wanted you to do and you still didn't change it. What did you want her to do? Like, I'm not understanding what you're talking about. Because to me, when I'm listening to you, I'm hearing I wanted you to have sex a certain way. I wanted you to have sex more. I'm hearing I wanted you to try something freaky and you didn't want to be freaky. I heard I wanted you to bend over and do this and you didn't want to do that. You just want to lay there. Like, that's what I'm hearing. So as he's venting, and just going off, Mel gets up, throws a glass at him. I'm like, y'all tearing up these people's house, but it's y'all fault because y'all shouldn't have invited these 2 volatile people together. Honey, I don't know if production let y'all in on it, but you do not put these 2 in the same room right now. That's why they don't tape together. Mel gets up. She's extremely upset. And then, production steps in. They tell Martel, go get in your car. Mel is over here on the other side. The wife is talking to Mel. She looks very concerned about everything that Mel is saying. Mel, I know you want to cry, girl. Just let it out. I feel like you will feel so much better if you just let it out. Cry it out. And then she's like, he got a baby on the way. Why would I even want to have anything to do with him? I am done with him. He has a baby on the way. Mel, listen to me. Now, you and Martel have been together forever and a day. But at the same time, y'all are going to have to get some mediation if this divorce is going to be what it's going to be. For your kids' sake, y'all are going to have to learn how to communicate with each other. I know that's going to take some time. That's easier said than done, especially when your emotions are heightened. But this right here, what y'all doing, that is not going to work. Y'all done tore these people's houses up, this people's house up. And now Martel is over on one side telling his lie, because everything he says is a lie. Mel is over here expressing how she feels. Now she's embarrassed, telling the people that she gonna help them clean up all the mess that she made and clean up the broken glass. Then Mel gets up, honey, in her patent leather boots, and she leaves. Child, this was some pure embarrassment. This is some foolery. Child, oh my goodness. From the wig to the waste of a drink, the waste of an afternoon. You over here fighting with Martel. He wouldn't get nothing from me. As soon as they would have said Martel is here, if you truly felt the way you saying you felt, you would have left. Child, oh my goodness. Well, that's all I got for this episode, y'all, honey. I couldn't even really come with the humor like I normally do, because I was so triggered in this episode because Martel acts just like my soon-to-be ex-husband, just like him. And I saw a little bit of him even in Marsau, flirting with somebody else's wife. And you got a whole wife that has shared with you how she feels about the way she's being treated at the hands of this woman. And then you go over there and start flirting with her? Child, I'm done with the whole thing, child. That concludes this episode and this review. Thank you all for listening and or watching. Please do not hesitate to like, share, and comment down below. I want to talk to you all about it. How do you feel about Marsau going over there flirting? How do you feel about Mel and Martel being involved in the parent trap? Please sound off down below, and I will be sure to respond. As always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.